I have not seen this many sweating Canadians since that one summer when I went to Red Beach. If you know, you know. And if you don't, just Google it. But pro tip, just don't do that on your work laptop. I promise you, you don't want to. Anyways, I'm about to say something wild. Could Donald Trump be better for Canada's economy than the Canadian government? Hear me out. So Donald Trump posted on Truth Social this week. Here's what he said, and I'm going to quote that for you. On January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States and its ridiculous open borders. He goes on to say, these tariffs will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. Both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and power to easily solve this long simmering problem. We hereby demand that they use this power, and until such time that they do, it is time for them to pay a very big price. He's back. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but by now you've seen the meltdowns. You've heard the rolling coverage on the CBC and other channels. Pierre Poilievre even did a press conference yesterday calling on Justin Trudeau to axe the carbon tax, to unleash Canada's oil and gas. He even said he'd consider retaliatory tariffs against the US. Justin Trudeau, for his part, called up Donald Trump, and he said, I'm going to quote what he says here. He says, this is a relationship that takes a certain amount of working on, and that's what we will do. And he has called for a non-partisan Team Canada approach. In the aftermath, the Canadian dollar has done a swan dive relative to the US dollar. And actually, while I was looking at that chart and while we have it up here, it's interesting that we were basically one Canadian dollar to one US dollar back in 2012. That's fascinating because I never actually thought that there was such a time, but apparently there is. Needless to say, Canadians are a little spooked, just a tad, with good reason. Our trade with the US accounts for about 60% of all Canadian trade. These tariffs have the potential to reduce Canada's GDP growth by approximately 2.6% annually. And that could lead to higher prices for consumers. It could lead to job losses in Canadian industries reliant on exports to the US. And that would suck. Last time something like this happened, sometime around October 2018, Canada actually imposed retaliatory tariffs on the US imports. That was 25% on US steel products. It was 10% on maple syrup and coffee beans. Although, to be fair, I honestly don't know that if that last part it didn't hurt us more than it hurt the Americans, because we love our coffee over here. I'm sure you guys know this. So it was a whole thing. Anyways, by July of 2020, a new NAFTA agreement, basically something that was repackaged under a different name, the USMCA, the US-Mexico-Canada Agreement, came into being, and both sides laid down the tariffs. And for the most part, we've played nice until now. Canada has a very unhealthy relationship with the US. In fact, there was a great article in the National Post just this week describing Canada as a spoiled American satellite. Now, that's a bit harsh, but it is true in a sense. We have a rotting military, and we currently don't meet our NATO defense spending quota because we basically assume the US would protect us if something were to pop off. We can afford to have porous borders and a more welcoming immigration regime, depending on how you choose to look at that. Perhaps because a lot of those illegal immigrants would sooner basically move on to the US. People would rather go to New York than they would rather stay in Halifax, for example. We can afford to retain certain economic policies that impede economic growth because we have access to the largest economy in the world right next door. All things said, this may not be all that bad. Think about it. What did Trump actually say? He said, stop the flow of fentanyl into my country, stop the illegal immigrants, and the tariffs will go away, more or less. Basically all he said. Okay, so what's the problem here? Have you seen the streets of Vancouver or places like Saskatoon lately? We had like 1,900 deaths between January and March of 2024 alone to like the opioid crisis. That's like 21 deaths a day in this country. This is something we have to deal with anyways. So honestly, I don't see the problem. For me, this is an incentive for the government to do more to actually tackle the problem. On the issue of illegal immigrants, again, this is a problem that Canada needs to fix anyways. The Trudeau government already admitted that they could have turned off the taps quicker on legal immigration. On the illegal immigration side, we know we need to improve border security. Also, 1000%, the asylum seeker programs are currently being abused. Check this out. So apparently there's been nearly 14,000 asylum claims filed by international students in Canada so far in 2024. And here's something else that will absolutely blow your mind. I know it blew mine. So as many as 358 suspects on the terror watch list were detained at ports of entry on the US-Canada border in 2024, compared to 155 on the US-Mexico border. So essentially, we're being forced to fix a problem that we needed to fix anyways. Regarding the economy, there's the chance that these tariffs take Canadian jobs and move them to the US. This is what Trump wants. He has said he wants to reshore manufacturing and usher in an economic boom for his country in that way. Good for them. I don't know what to say. I know what to tell you. It may make products more expensive or whatever in their country for their consumers, but God bless them. That's what they want. But what do I care? Here in Canada, we do need to take a Canada first approach. In this, I agree with Pierre Poilievre and with Justin Trudeau. It's funny that for once, those two actually agree on something. They don't agree on how, but the general idea is there. Pierre wants us to remove the carbon tax to reduce regulation and drill baby drill. Anybody? And for Trudeau, he wants to negotiate. His plan right now is a bit light on details, but we'll see what happens once Donald Trump takes office. We need to do a better job overall in Canada of diversifying our trade relationships. The US has us fighting China at the moment, and that's a relationship we were looking to build. Like I made a video about that not too long ago, about the current trade war between Canada and China. But the funny thing is, while we're fighting with China, China is just using the back door and bringing electric vehicles in through Mexico anyways. So like, we're not winning. My whole point here is that our dependence on the US means that our fortunes as a country is tied to American goodwill. And that's not a great position to be in. Of course, all told, this could just be a negotiating tactic by Donald Trump. The US-Mexico-Canada agreement on trade is up for renegotiation in 2026. Trump is looking out for American workers. He's looking out for American businesses, for American farmers, for the American auto industry. Someone on this side needs to look out for Canadians. I find it interesting and maybe a tad bit hilarious that the US president-elect is able to disrupt the mental health of an entire nation with just 2 tweets. Like, it's wild to me. But you tell me, what is your biggest concern about these Trump tariffs? And are you ready for a new year with Donald Trump? I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.